Good evening, viewers. My name is Dr. Jessica Muthe of Elimu Guidance and Psychological Services Center. Today I'll talk about dyslexia, one of the major categories of specific learning disability. What is dyslexia? It is learning difficulty that impairs a person's ability to read and write. Dyslexia involves the way a person processes graphic symbols and sound of words. It commonly affects word recognition, spelling, ability to match letters to sounds. It's a neurological condition and it has no relation to intelligence. Researchers believe that 5 to 10% of the world's population actually have dyslexia. There are other experts also that estimate that the prevalence is 17% in the world population. Dyslexia is a neurological issue and it can run in families, but it should be noted that it is not as a result of poor teaching by the teachers, poor instruction also, or even upbringing of the parents. Maybe it is important for us to know what really causes dyslexia. Now, researchers are actually not sure, or they are unsure why people develop dyslexia, although there is a bit of research that also indicates that it is a condition that can be inherited. That means it can be genetical and it can also run in families. Now, it is also argued that it can be acquired at birth due to brain injury and stroke. Some researchers also say that it can be environmental, but this has not been supported by a lot of research. They also say premature birth or low birth weight can cause it. Exposure during pregnancy to nicotines, drugs, alcohol, or infection that may alter the brain development in the fetus may also cause this condition. Individual differences in the part of the brain that enables reading can also cause it. Those are some of the causes that have been suggested and documented. What are some of the signs to look out for in a child who could be suspected to be dyslexic? Now, dyslexia may be difficult to actually recognize before a child enters school. It is very, very school-related. But some early clues may also indicate that there exists a problem in a child. Once the child reaches school age, your child's teacher may be the first one to notice that problem. Researchers have also said that severity varies. There are those that have very severe dyslexia and there are those that have mild. But the condition often becomes apparent as the child starts learning to read. That is when it is recognized. Now, before going to school, there is what we would call signs that would predispose a child to dyslexia, or some signs that can be associated with the children at early years. And with children in early years or preschool, we don't say that they are actually dyslexic. We say they are at risk of being dyslexic, because there could be many other reasons as to why some of the signs that I'm going to talk about could be there in a child. One of the signs that would indicate or would point to a child who is at risk are late talking, that is late developmental or delayed developmental milestones. That could be late talking, late crawling, late walking, studying, and the rest. Delayed developmental milestone. But remember, delayed developmental milestone can be caused by other can be due to other causes, not necessarily dyslexic alone or dyslexia alone. Learning words slowly can also be another pointer of a child who is at risk in early years. Then problem-forming words or confusing words that sound alike. Of course, we have problems remembering or naming letters, numbers, or colors in a child at early years. Difficult learning nursery rhymes or playing rhyme games can also be one of the observations we could make with the children at that age. Now, those are children who are at early years. They can be said to be preschool children. But what about signs of dyslexia at the primary school level? That is at the elementary level. What are some of the signs that a parent or a teacher would look out for? 1, the child appears to be struggling with spelling, reading, writing, or numeracy. How do you know whether the above are potential indicators of dyslexia? What are some of the general signs to look out for? General signs to look out for. 1 is the speed of processing, slow, spoken, and written language. The other one can be poor concentration, difficult following instructions, and forgetting words. Those are some of the general signs that can be observed. Now, apart from the general signs that could be observed, at school, there are some things that they do. There is what we call academic achievement. For example, as a teacher or as a parent, when you are assisting them in at home with homework, especially during this time of CBC, what are some of the things that you should look out for in their written work? 1 is poor standards of written work compared with oral ability. That is 1. 2, producing messy work with crossings out and once tried several times. For example, there is a lot of erasing or a lot of rubbing that can be noted in written work. Confused letters which look similar, particularly letters like B and D, P and G, P and Q, N and U, M and W can be confused. What about poor handwriting with many reversals and badly formed letters for grade level? You may also note that spells a word, the learner spells a word severally and in different ways in one piece of writing. That would be also an indicator that this child is actually dyslexic. What about poor pencil grip? The way they handle the pencil for their age and for their grade. It is also something to observe. Then producing phonetic and bizarre spelling for age, not age appropriate, not ability appropriate. That can also be observed. Unusual sequencing of letters could also be looked at or could also be observed in a piece of writing. And that is as far as writing is concerned. The next thing you should look at is reading. How are they reading? 1, you will observe slow reading progress in a child who has such a problem. You'll find it, the child will find it difficult to blend letters together or to blend sounds together to make a word. The child has difficulty in establishing what we call syllable division or knowing the beginnings and the endings of words. Unusual pronunciation of words. For example, they may want to pronounce the word spaghetti and they end up talking about or they end up pronouncing it as basgetti. No expression in reading and the poor comprehension is also something else. No expression in reading, they don't express themselves, and then poor comprehension. That means whatever text you've given to them, They may read even sometimes very fluently, but they have not understood what is required of them in that passage or in that text. The other one is hesitant and labored reading. Sometimes they add extra ones that are not in the passage or that are not in the text. Missing or misses out words when reading, or sometimes jumps them or adds some extra words. Loses the point of the story being read or written. So in the process, the ideas are not coherently organized. Sometimes they are not even very clear. Their ideas, especially in composition, writing, may not be coherent. They may not flow. Now, they lose the point of the story. That's what we are saying. They have difficulty in picking out the most important points from a passage or from the page. Whenever one reads, it is possible to pick out the key things from the passage. These children are not able to do that, or these learners are not able to do that. Those are some of the things you would look out for as a teacher or as a parent or a guardian trying to assist that child or that learner. The other one is numeracy, confusing the place values. For example, units, tens, and hundreds, they confuse that. Confusing symbols such as multiplication, addition. Sometimes they don't know which one to work with. Difficult remembering anything in sequential order. For example, they may miss out on days of the week, the letters of the alphabet, the tables that you have given to them, and so on and so forth. What about their time or time? They have difficult learning to tell the time from an analog clock. A digital clock may not be a problem because they can read directly what there is. But an analog clock may be difficult to actually tell time from. Then what about poor timekeeping? They are not good in time management. That is what we are saying. They have lost the concept of time. Poor person organization. You find them appearing clumsy, their books looking clumsy, folded. Sometimes they may forget their sweaters in their desks or in the school, in the bus, in the school bus, and so on and so forth. If you look at their rooms also, they may be a bit messy, disorganized, and that is why we should help them. Difficult remembering what the day of the week is, that is their birth date, the seasons of the year, the months of the year, may also be difficult for them to remember. Difficult with concepts like yesterday, today, and tomorrow may be an issue. What about motor skills? We know that motor skills are very important skills in learning. So you find that there are poor motor skills leading to weakness in speed, control, and accuracy of the pencil. They have also memory difficulties, for example, on daily routines, self-organization, rote learning. These are not people who can handle a lot of instructions, multiple instructions. Something must be told to them one at a time, not multiple instructions. Otherwise, they will not comprehend that. They confuse, or there is confused. They are confused by differences between left and right. It is possible to find a learner whose left shoe is on his right shoe. And so that should not worry any teacher or any parent. They only need to be assisted. Now, sometimes they may have a problem with up and down, east and west, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Indeterminate hand preference. Sometimes they may use left hand for writing. They may be good at that, and sometimes they may switch also to the right hand. And sometimes also they perform very unevenly from day to day in as far as their schoolwork is concerned. So it is difficult for you to be able to predict how they will perform next time. Now, what about their behavior? So, what are some of the behaviors that you should look out for as a parent, a guardian, or a school teacher? One, They use work avoidance tactics such as sharpening pencils and looking for books all the time, and sometimes when it is not necessary. They appear dreamy. They are daydreaming. They don't seem to be listening to you when you are talking to them. That is the way they are. The other thing is they are easily distracted by any stimuli around. So you expect that as a teacher or even as a parent. Now, sometimes they become the class clown or clone, and they also are disruptive, and they can also be isolated, or they can be withdrawn. Sometimes they are also excessively tired due to the amount of concentration and effort required, which they are not able to cope with. Now, having talked about a cluster of these indicators alongside areas of ability, it may be necessary for me to say that although I've given those as some of the pointers, further investigation may also be required. And therefore, my viewers, in case you have a relative who exhibits such signs, refer them for psychoeducational assessment or evaluation by a psychologist. A report will be given to you. You understand them better. Intervention measures for this condition can also be proposed to teachers and the parents. Thank you very much for listening.